Hi, this is Jean Henningsen with Monarch Leadership Group, and this is Leading Through Crisis, Making a Difference. And here with me today, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing Sheriff Billy Woods. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolute pleasure to be here, Janine.
So tell us, because I know everyone really wants to know, how has the sheriff's office changed since we all went into isolation?
You know, it's a little bit of a difficult question to answer because with us in law enforcement and with an operation like this, we don't change a whole lot. Now, probably where people see changes is accessibility. Like the jail. I'll start with the jail. Jail is a perfect example. A lot of people, visitation, being able to come. We've had to change that. Allowing like attorneys coming in, and we have to change the way our practices are, allowing them to come in. A lot of screening that a lot of businesses are doing. That's what we've been doing at the jail. Now, if we get away from the jail, we're talking about like all of my district offices and here at my main office. The personal contact is kind of taken away. And for us in law enforcement, that's kind of it's a little bit of a shocker because we're used to being with people and face-to-face dealing with them. And we've had to limit. Now, there's certain things that law requires us to do, areas like a fingerprinting that we have to do. So that contact is a must when we're dealing with the public. But overall, in general, the office and law enforcement, the office of the sheriff, we haven't changed a lot. Because, and I've told this in the beginning, I've told a lot of people, that's not an option for us. We don't get to close shop. Right. We have to operate just to protect people.
Yes.
And it's not just my deputies. Okay, a lot of people, well, it's just the deputies. It's really not just the deputies because every person that works here, from my garage, they all are part of fighting crime. And whether it be in the HR department, whether it be at the garage, whether it be the call takers, and here at the main office, they are all important to the process, ensuring that everything motion is keeping moving forward so that we keep providing to our community and making them feel safe along with the COVID-19 and every additional thing that we have to deal with.
Right. Okay, wonderful. So tell us, since things have pretty much remained the same, your operations have, what has changed for your staff out there in the field? Because if people aren't really being active, they're not going places, they're not on the roads, I imagine that your staff is working a little differently.
Absolutely. That's an excellent question. It has, because it's been like a shift. And I'll start with crime. Crime is a good example. Residential burglaries have begun to drop when we've got commercial burglaries rising because obviously people are staying home, they're at their own property. Commercial businesses are closed. It provides the opportunity. Traffic slowed down an awful lot. Now, we haven't gotten the numbers yet to be able to say whether crashes have reduced, which would be common sense. If you've got less traffic, crashes reduce. So those are certain areas where we've had to adjust. Domestic violence. We've seen an increase in domestic violence because of people being home and closer together. And we've had to adjust to those things. But for us, it's almost a norm of getting an unknown and then having to adjust the whole way we do something to redirect it. Crimes, when we get an influx of a lot of frauds, internet frauds that come across, or even when citizens receive phone calls of these frauds, it might be a new one, but it's something different that we have to adjust the way we approach something. And staff itself, you know, they do a fabulous job of that alone. Deputies, the detention deputies, of what's coming in. And that brings up a point. The biggest thing is like the judicial system. Judicial shutting down the courthouses and limiting the priority things of what needs to be done. We've had to adjust to that. We've had to redirect resources to assist in other sections that has increased. Those are some of the good examples. And it takes a toll sometimes, it does. But we address those. It's almost a daily thing for us.
Sure, sure. And how about the stress level of your staff? Have they experienced an increase, a decrease, and what kind of stress do they have? Like, since they're dealing with the public, is there a certain level of fear that they may contract the virus, or they may infect their families, because you are first responders, and that's a lot of what we've been hearing from first responders, is that's where the stress is coming from.
Absolutely. I would say it's added a new type of stress. Stress in our jobs is always there,
Mhm.
just because of the mere risk in which we have. Because I'm here to tell you is the COVID-19, we come across it is a virus, but we face viruses, we face diseases on a regular basis,
Mhm.
and some of which are far greater a harm than the COVID-19. But over time, when you're having to deal with it, you become accustomed to it. It gets shoved to the back of your brain. You don't think nothing of it. Now that you have a new one that all of a sudden comes in, it brings and adds that greater stress level to them. Deputies, I would say detention deputies, there's a small change because they are worried about getting it and then bringing it home, like you mentioned, to the families. Probably the staff members that are non-sworn, they're not always exposed like the deputies are.
Sure.
So them having that added stress in their personal lives, from their work life, and then taking it into their personal life, it definitely is there. And they ask questions, always, and rightfully so. What happens? What do I do? Am I going to get it? Because we've had a couple cases here in the office, which luckily it was caught, and we were able to quarantine and take the right measures so that no one else got it, and then it didn't spread.
Mhm.
Uh, and it's a concern of mine. When you are the CEO, as we all are, when you're the head, you're always concerned about your staff. You're concerned about their well-being,
Yes.
adding to them, because the finance department, they deal with numbers. They don't deal with worried about a virus out there that they may come in contact with. They're worried about what's going on here in the office itself and the numbers of whether the budget will pass, or making sure those budget numbers match up.
Right.
They, I give them kudos. They are strong individuals, and they know what they have to do, and they keep the fear is there. I'm not going to, blindly tell you that it doesn't exist. The fear is there,
Mhm.
because it's no different than the deputies that have to put on a bulletproof vest every day that they go to work because of the fear of being shot. Um,
Right.
so for non-sworn, it's the same thing. They don't have a vest to put on to protect them. But in a way, sanitizing, washing hands, cleaning around, that's their protective vest from this virus that's out here.
Mhm. Yes. So your staff that's out in the field, your deputies, they are used to dealing with risk. This is just a different kind of risk. And then you have a whole nother group of employees that this is something new. They're not used to being exposed to a level of risk. So you have some different situations going on. How are you responding to this added level of stress that your staff is experiencing?
You have to be creative. And what I mean, creative in a couple ways. First way is implementing and ensuring that you have measures in place to protect them, okay, which is vital. But then on the other side is the personal level. And that's where I have to make them know that we are protecting them, making them feel comfortable, making them change. And sometimes it's a small thing that I can do, that a leader can do, a CEO can do, makes them feel comfortable. And I'll give you an example. Obviously, most places have a dress code, and I have a dress code where you've got to wear a tie, or you got to wear a particular uniform, like the sworn. When the order came into effect, I can tell the mood changing. Like you said, the stress that's occurring. I issued an order allowing, we have, just like most businesses have, like Fridays, you can wear jeans on Fridays. Well, our contact with the public, especially with those on the inside of the office, is going to be extremely limited and very few. I changed it to allow them to wear the Friday dress down Friday clothing, make it every day, and it makes them feel comfortable. It might be small, it might be, people might think it's petty, but to one individual, that might give them a boost for the day, and then they don't think about it. And they can come in and wear some relaxed clothing. I I even made a couple days where I think one day I had it camo Friday. Everybody could wear camo coming into work just to lift their spirits up and know, don't worry about it. We'll be okay being together. Which brings me to something else. I think that's a huge part. And in law enforcement itself, again, regardless of the positions in which they hold, we're a huge family. And just reaching out to all of them, knowing that you are part of this family and we will take care of you. No matter what the issue is, no matter how hardship it is, we're here. We came together for meals. When some of our staff needed meals, we made sure that we got something to them. We provided boxes around the district offices so that we can start coming together where somebody's being short of it something. We made sure that we are watching out for our brothers and sisters within the organization. And it's small stuff like that. When you deal with your staff, you let them know. And here's the one thing that I ensure, that I'm here with them. And if I'm not closing offices, I'm going to make sure I'm standing here with them. I'm not going to be home myself claiming that I'd rather be safe than I put them in danger as well too every single day. So I ensure that I'm here. They see me as their leader. They know that I'm standing with them, that I'm the steadfast that they need in order to get them through this hard time.
Yes, yes. I would agree that I think that's really important, because if you disengage, you're leading them, but you're doing it from afar and you're detached, then where's their level of comfort and confidence that everything's going to be okay? And that you're leading them through this. So that's wonderful. So what would you say is like the one leadership skill that's really necessary to help a team, your staff members, through a crisis like this? Because you're certainly well experienced in dealing with different kinds of crises. So what do you think, based on maybe something that you've learned so far that's a little bit different with this pandemic, what do you think that one thing is that's of utmost importance for a leader?
Actually, I just said it. It's being steadfast. And what I mean by that, being steadfast, is you are the pillar. You are their support. You are the wall that they have to lean on. And being steadfast means that, to me, steadfast to me means that I am the example. I give them their insurance. I am the shoulder in which they can lean on. I'm the shoulder that they can complain to as well, too. But I have to be steadfast in whatever operational things that I implement and be consistent with. And like I mentioned before, on the personal level, of knowing that I am here, and that steadfastness they see. It's just like in battle with our military. They look to their leaders, okay? They know what to do, but they have to have someone that they look to that's taking the charge for them, and they will follow. And that steadfastness for here in my office is to be the one that I hope that they can look upon and say, I'm here. I am scared, and fear is good. That's what keeps us alive. A majority of the time is that fear, but yet that helps them get beyond the fear of knowing that that's a pillar. There's no weakness in that pillar, and they're standing strong for me. That's my humble opinion.
Yes, yes. And I love that visual of the pillar that is strong, that is the solid rock from which everyone and everything can rest and rely upon.
Exactly.
So it sounds like being calm. I know you didn't say that word, but that's kind of what I heard, being calm in the face of this crisis.
Absolutely. That's actually huge. Being calm is because if you break down, and regardless of what's occurring on the inside of me, if
Hmm.
I break down on the outside, they're going to crumble as well. And you have to be calm. And that's in any crisis, regardless of if it be this virus or any other crisis, the hurricanes that we deal with, the calm peace. You have to have that peace in order to get somebody through it. And that's exactly right. The calm is a huge thing of quelling the fears, quelling the worries, quelling the concerns. And that calmness brings peace. And along with peace brings you stability, to be honest.
Yes. Yes. No, that makes total sense and leads me in perfectly to my next question. So here you are, the leader, and you are maintaining this calmness, this sense of confidence because you are the pillar of the organization. How are you taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually? How are you able to maintain that through all of this?
You know, most people know who I am. I'm a firm believer that the good Lord doesn't give us anything that we cannot handle.
Mhm.
And knowing that personally is a peace within myself, and that I can rely on Him to give me guidance or whatever it may be to be the pillar. Physically, oh, good Lord, I've eaten so much good meals. I think I've gained weight. So I don't know if that's been a good or a bad thing. Mentally, it is stressful. You get in these positions, and we choose to be in these positions. So it's stuff that we should expect, to be
Mhm.
perfectly honest with you. I don't like it. I don't pleasure in it, but it's something that I have chosen to be here, and it's something that I have to deal with. In my personal life of giving the peace and the calm, and I mentioned not earlier in what we're in our interview here, but I have mentioned about in personal life how things have changed for me. I don't have all the events to attend at night and on the weekends. Before all this, one of the personal things that I do to get me through the stressful stuff that dealing with the office is I do nothing on Sundays. I don't do any events on Sundays just because it gives me my time with my family.
Yes.
But it also somewhat, although I'm not separated from the office, it takes me away from it. And I don't have to necessarily think, even though it's on my mind, it's not constant on my mind. And it gives me the place to walk away. Right now during this, it's kind of what I've done is taken advantage of those times that I don't have to be at an event till 11 p.m. at night or on Saturdays. I work at home. I work on the farm, getting on the tractor, doing work around the house. It just takes me away and gives me my own peace in order for Monday morning, or when I get a phone call, I'm refreshed. And I know that I've taken care of one stressful thing and quelled it down and bringing me peace back and forth. And that's some of the things that I've done.
Yes, yes. And having that downtime that you just referred to does seem really important, especially for a leader that deals with a lot of high risk situations and stress. So I hope that as we gear back up and events start happening again, that you're still able to find that time, right? I think a lot of people are thinking that, wow, I had this opportunity to hit the reset button. Now, how do I keep it?
Exactly. I think it's important. And then to my fellow leaders out there, because for us to get in these positions, we become workaholics, okay? And it's overwhelming. And I encourage them. A lot of people say, well, I just can't take the time. Yeah, you can. You can take the time. You just need to force yourself to do it and make the decision. I look at my fellow sheriffs around the state. A lot of them, they do a lot of work, and wow, we can't go do this. I can't go here. Yeah, you just need to carve it out, and you need to do it. And that would be my suggestion to my fellow leaders out here. Do it. Take the time to take vacation. Um, Trust the people that you have in place underneath you to take care of what's there. Because here's what I tell them. I tell them, take care of it. If you do something I don't like, I can change it when I get back. So it's okay. um, but having trust and faith in those that you put in positions below you to fill those gaps when you are gone are extremely important. Because one of my management philosophies, if I pay people to do a job and I pay them, you pay them good. Well, if I've got to do your job, then I don't need you. And I don't mean that, I'm not trying to say that in a mean way, but the fact is that I've got to apply that to myself. If I've got a person that I'm paying to do a job, I've got to have the faith and trust for that individual to make the right decisions while I am absent and while I do take a break. Because everything can wait. Everything can be changed at a later date. Everything can be reevaluated and take a step back. Just because we take a particular action doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. We go that way, and then you get into it and you go, we need to pull back and we need to change. There's nothing wrong with doing it. It will be okay, because the truth is we will make mistakes, we will stumble, and we will fall. But it's okay, because we can always learn from those stumbles and falls.
Yes, absolutely. Well said. So you have all done obviously a lot for this county, always have, and obviously through this pandemic, you have continued, as you said, to do your operations. Nothing's changed. It's just adjusted a little bit, but nothing really changed. What can the citizens of Marion County do, especially now as we slowly start to pull out of this? What do you think the citizens can do to help make a difference and help get our community back on its feet again?
Be kind. And what I mean by that, I hope people have learned from this whole process of businesses out here, people that don't have what you have, getting back on the feet. If we help each other and being kind towards each other, I think that's the hugest thing. With growth, like our growth in Marion County, our population's growing every year. I think the CEP has said it's 1.5% each year, or so, right around in there. We grow, our society becomes detached. And if we don't remain solid to kindness and helping one another, we will become isolated within our own selves. And extend a helping hand. Help your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor, driving, all of these things. Because on the radio show this morning that I was on, we were talking about traffic and people being away from being in the hustle and bustle. Then you're going to get back into it. Then you're going to get frustrated. Just take a deep breath and be kind. As we move forward to coming out of the this whole stay-at-home orders, whatever you want to call them, everybody needs to remember that everything is different. Every individual is different. Everyone's comfort level is different. So that's where the kindness comes into play, of handling the change. We went from one extreme to another. Now we're about to go to another extreme to another again, of what we're calling the norm, going back to the norm. Be engaged, be involved, be kind, of reaching out and helping each other. And that's what I hope people have learned from this whole process. Not that this amount of people have died, not this amount of people got sick, but take a step back and learn from the whole process. And here's my little advice to the young people that might be listening to this interview, is it's just like I told my two boys when looking, they got done with school. I said, you look at the jobs that you want to enter. You need to be looking right now. Young people need to be looking at the jobs that are essential and get you through the hard times, if you think about it. I never in my lifetime would thought Publix was an essential job, but being at Publix, but it is, because one of my boys work at Publix, and he's still working because they're essential during these hard times. And I'm beginning to ramble, and I apologize for you, but kindness, it's beginning to disappear.
Yeah, well, that is wonderful advice. I love that. And I'm starting to see flags pop up, just like the faith over fear. I
Right.
thought a couple of them about being kind. You know, if you can't be anything else, be kind.
Mm.
So that is wonderful advice. Very simple, but deceptively simple, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Very strong, too.
Yes, there's a lot of power in that. So thank you so much, Sheriff Billy Woods. I cannot tell you how much we all appreciate your leadership and your staff and everything that they continue to do for our community. So thank you so much for your time.
You're more than welcome, and thank you. My pleasure.